my gosh, how are you guys doing? Finally, we're back. We're in the new room. We're in the new setup here. The new studio, quote unquote. But, yeah, I'm excited. To you, it looks like we're in the same, like the only thing that's different is you see this giant SEC sign. I know you can't see anything. The reason why we stuck with the gray curtain, well, that's why. It's a green wall. My wife, before this was my man cave, whatever you want to call it, and then we turned it into our daughter's, where they would sleep, and so it got painted puke green. Ironically, green's my favorite color, not this shade of green. Okay, welcome, Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere. This is, of course, the Pig Trail Network. I am Tyzil83. You probably already know that, but in case you don't, I need you to do something for me at the end. I need you to like, comment, share the content that you when you're done watching it. And, of course, tap the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. We're talking about Arkansas basketball and can they be last year's South Carolina? That's what everyone's talking about. That's what some ESPN analysts have said. And there's some people that believe, and one person in particular that believes Arkansas can achieve what South Carolina achieved last year, which was being unranked going into tournament play and coming out going as far as South Carolina did a year ago. Let's talk about it. Jimmy Dykes thinks that Arkansas can be last year's South Carolina, or they could accomplish something like what South Carolina did a year ago, which was make the Final Four. Now, these are two entirely different teams. South Carolina was a defensive basketball team. In postseason, they held Baylor to 50 points, Marquette to 73, Florida to 70. In the Final Four to Gonzaga, they lost 73 to 77. So, and I think they were a 6 or 7 seed last year. Yeah, I think they were a 7 seed. Their path obviously was different. Arkansas beat South Carolina on the road. Remember, that was that point last year. I made a video like a week or two before, and I said Mike Anderson's got to go because at that point Arkansas had come off a couple of bad losses. And it just did not look like they were going to make the NCAA tournament. And then they went on the road and they beat South Carolina. And I thought, never mind. They're in good shape. Eventually, Arkansas gets to the second round of the NCAA tournament, and they lose a very competitive game to the eventual national champions, the North Carolina Tar Heels. I think had the Tar Heels not been in their way, I think Arkansas could have been at least a Sweet 16 team last year. Now this year, they're different. You have an athletic big man inside. Macon is playing way better than he did last year. He's a lot more consistent at this point in the season. Barford, still a ball hog, but I think he's a little bit better than where he was at last year, but not a whole lot's changed. I don't know that coming back really did anything for him. And you got other guys that contribute a little bit. Beard, I think, contributes a little bit more than he did a year ago. But if all things fall into place, if you can get a couple of guys coming off the bench and just grab 10 or 12 productive minutes on the floor, C.J. Jones, obviously, and then, I don't know, grab the next doesn't matter to me who the other person is. It could be anybody. It could be another big for all I care. But as long as someone else can come off that bench and at least be double-digit productive, C.J. Jones, can maybe, rack up a couple assists, find ways to open up the inside to allow Gafford to do his thing. As long as Macon and Barford and somebody else off that bench is helping contribute and allowing Gafford to do his thing, this team's going to be tough to beat. But again, last year, South Carolina, they got seeded in a good spot. In the first round, they got past Marquette, 93 to 73, went on and played Duke, beat them, 88 to 81, crushed Baylor, 70 to 50, beat Florida, that's Arkansas's kryptonite, 77 to 70. Sorry, that's a bit of a tongue twister. And they lost to Gonzaga in the Final Four, 73 to 77. And this is South Carolina. This is not a basketball school. I'm sorry. They're a baseball program. That's what they are. They're a baseball school. They're a program that doesn't surprise you if they go far in baseball. If they make the College World Series. Doesn't surprise you. Basketball, I think this program has been in the NCAA tournament like maybe 10 times. I think they've made the Sweet 16. I think in the 70s they made it like 2 or 3 years in a row. They're a pretty good basketball program in the early 70s. But since then, no. I mean, they've had a couple of decent years since, right? Everyone's likely to have at least a couple of good years in a really long time span. But, and I had it up in front of me here, but I don't anymore. But it's not a college basketball program. They made their first ever Final Four last year. Now, again, when Jimmy Dykes says, to get back on topic, when Jimmy Dykes says that they could be last year's South Carolina, it's also, like, isn't this at the point where you should kind of expect Arkansas to go deep into the tournament, 7 years under Mike Anderson? Yeah, I know, they should. They ought to be Sweet 16 shouldn't surprise anybody, but that's where they're at. Arkansas, they'll surprise you if they go far. I'm going to be surprised if they make it past the second round, because that apparently is just not. This team is yet to prove that they can. I say this team, this staff, Mike Anderson and his staff. Mike Anderson really hasn't proven that so far 7 years at Arkansas that he can make it very far in the tournament. Do I think they have to be hot going into the NCAA tournament? No. South Carolina wasn't at the end of the year. I mean, I think they won their last 2 games, but then if you look at the SEC tournament, they stunk it up. And then again, they started off against Marquette, and they won by 20 points. So, yeah, as long as Arkansas doesn't have to play Florida or North Carolina in the NCAA tournament, anything is possible, right? So, yeah, I think it's possible. We'll have to wait and see until they announce seeding. All right, so that's going to be it. I hope you guys – I mean, I know you can't see the difference, but to me, this is a whole new world. I'm in my own room. I'm in my own kind of office, whatever you want to call it, with puke green paint. So, like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Until the next video, we'll see you guys around.